Well, hello there and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how you can take an image and turn it into a custom map art in Minecraft. Let me start by saying that a map art is not a mural and they should not be treated the same. The colors just do not come out the same. You can see here as we're looking at this is a mural and it looks pretty great except for the fact that it shows glass and the glass is over grass. Everything else looks really good. We got a lot of color detail in the flame, but if we look at this in a map, if you look at the flame down there, it doesn't look very good. The swoosh, not very much color definition. If you look at the star up in the corner, again, not much color definition. The colors just did not come out properly. Now, there are a number of mural generators out there and they look great if you want to look at a mural, if you want to actually look at it physically within the Minecraft world. But if you want to use a map, it's best to use a tool that is specific for map art. Now, there aren't many tools out there that'll do custom map art. The one that I found that works the best does require a little bit of extra legwork in order to get into your world, but I think it's definitely worth it. I put a link in the description to this website right here. You can see it right there. So what we want to do is we want to go into an image editor, get our image, and make sure that it is already 128 pixels by 128 pixels. So I'm not going to show you how to do that. That's beyond the scope of this video, but you want to start with an image that is 128 by 128. Then you want to click on the Pick Image button right there and then find your file of your image. Once we've loaded up our image here, we want to go over to the block selection and just go ahead and start with everything. And that will give us a map preview. And then we want to come over to the settings over here and we want to leave these settings up. And then the staircasing, I recommend you actually turn that off. If you want to go to the extra effort, you will get better color out of it, but it will generate a map that looks like this in your Minecraft world. It's a lot harder to build, and if you want to make any modifications, it will be a lot harder to do modifications after the fact. So I recommend you leave that off, but it's up to you. You can leave that on if you want. It's just a lot harder to build. And then you can play with the dithering if you want. You can look at the different types of dithering and you can see the preview and how it's going to look. And if we look at mine, then we can definitely see that the Floyd Steinberg one is definitely going to give me better color in my flame, which is where the most color detail is. And then we can leave the rest of these fairly the same. You can look, and if you want to have a block to add, there's going to be like some default blocks up at the top of the build. If you want it to be something other than stone, then you can put that there. And then you want to come down to your materials right here and click refresh materials. If you're in a wider browser, by the way, it might be over on the right over here. So you want to look at your refresh materials and see if there's anything that you don't really have a lot of, and you might want to go ahead and change those things. For example, cobweb 382. I don't have 382 cobweb, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck. I'm going to check none for cobwebs, and then I should refresh my material and I'll get one that doesn't have cobwebs anymore. That will, because that is the only item that is that color. On a map art, I will lose a little bit of color definition for turning that off, but you know, I don't want to have to collect 382 cobwebs, so I'm willing to accept that. And you can see from the preview, we haven't lost that much. And the other one is diamond blocks. For some reason, it automatically picks diamond blocks when there are several other objects that are the same color on the map. So if you look over here, all of these objects will come out as this color on the map right here. So by default, it's going to pick wool for most of these objects, which is probably great. You can use concrete if you wanted to. You will need a sheep farm if you're going to use wool. It's usually going to take several shulker boxes of wool in order to do the full item. So be careful with that. You might need concrete, might be easier for you to get. It depends on what you have access to. So that's something you can play with there. You could pick, you know, if I wanted to use black concrete instead of black wool, I could do that there. So diamonds here, I don't want to use block of diamonds, but prismarine is the same color. So I want to update that and I want to use prismarine, and then I can refresh it. And now it's chosen prismarine instead of diamond blocks. I'm not going to lose any color definition for doing that one because, again, these come out as the same color. Anything in this whole row, same color on a map. Doesn't really matter. You don't lose any color definition by choosing a different one. And then the rest of these all look pretty normal. So here's another example here. I have picked an image that has a lot more colors to it. This is my YouTube logo. If we go into the presets, if we go down to everything, you see it still looks pretty decent. And we can come over here. If we turn off the staircasing, by the way, it's going to bleach it out quite a bit. You can see the difference in that color definition when you're not using the staircasing. In this case, because this is an image, I'm not going to go back and edit at any point in the future. And this is my YouTube logo. If I were going to build this in my worlds, which I might very well, then I might actually, it might be worth doing that staircase mode in order to get that extra color definition. But there's other things we can play with. We could try messing with the dithering and see if any of those come out any better. Not really to the degree that we'd like it to. And then we can also look at image processing and we can enable that. And because the eye color and the skin tone are so close to each other, we might want to up the contrast and down the brightness a little bit. See if we can get something that's a little bit better. That's not too bad. What I might actually want to do is go into a regular image editor and edit those colors so that they're a little bit different from each other. That might work a little better. And then if we come down and refresh materials, we can look at the materials that are in the build. And we can see here emeralds. We might not want that in our build. We actually have a lot of emeralds, so I wouldn't have any problem with that. But we've got the cobwebs again. So we might want to turn that off. There's 1,000 of them. I wouldn't want to collect 1,000 cobwebs. I don't know what these placeholder blocks are. I think it's fine. I think don't worry about it too much. But let's sand. We could use birch wood planks instead of sand. That might be a little bit cheaper. And then we can just keep on going down the list. Everything else looks pretty normal. There's some water in the build. I'm not sure exactly how that works. That should be interesting to figure out. All the rest of this looks pretty normal though. So that's how you could use this actual program itself. And then what we want to do is we want to download the MBT file. Once we've downloaded the MBT file, we're going to go and we're going to create a new world. We're going to put ourselves in creative mode. Don't really need to mess with any other settings. And then just go ahead and create a new world. Once we're in the new world, I'm going to give myself a structure block by typing the command give @p Minecraft : structure _ block. I'll put that command down in the description. We want to do that, and that will give us a structure block. We'll place that down any old place, open it up, click on this button until we get to save. We want to give our structure a name. We're just making an empty structure. Don't worry about what we're doing here. We're just making an empty one. So test, it's fine. Click the save button over here, and it will tell us that we've saved it. Then we're going to want to find our Minecraft directory. In Windows, you would just open up a file explorer, and in the bar here, you would type %appdata%, and that will open up your app data roaming folder. And you want to look for Minecraft. Double click on that, go down to saves, find the save that you created. I have an awful lot of saves. So we are looking for, it's actually by date modified. So there's our new one right here. And we want to look in the folder generated Minecraft structures. And that is where we want to drag the NBT that we got, that we downloaded from the website. Once we put that file in the folder, we're going to come back into our new world. I'm going to give myself a map object. And then I'm going to right click it to activate it. It will create a new map. And then we want to come to the top left corner to where we're just outside of that. I'm going to open F3 and G to see the chunk borders. And we can see this right here. This appears to be the top left chunk border of our map zone. So right there. Looks like that's our top left. And I want to place my structure block one block above it. So right here, just outside of our structure, of our chunk border right here. And then I'm actually going to pillar up so that we're not placing it inside any of this terrain here. We want to pillar up high enough that we're not going to end up running into mountains or anything like that. So come on up here. And then once I've got a pillar that's about high enough, I'm going to place the structure block here on top of it. And then I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go into load, and I'm going to type the structure name that the name of the file that has the structure that we want to load. Now you can't use any capitals and you can't use any spaces, so you may need to rename the file in your Windows directory if you have spaces or anything like that in it. And then we'll just go ahead and click load. And that will create a little bounding box for us here. And then I'm going to give myself a redstone block. I'm going to place it. I'm going to shift place it right next to it. And that will load our map. A little bit of lag there. And there we go. And so we can turn the borders off so we can see a little better. And we come on in and we can actually look at the map, and this is actually what it's going to look like. And it looks like, did I miss over here? Or is it just taking a second to load everything up? Very strange. Did we miss a chunk border here? No, looks like we're right on the chunk border. There it goes. Okay. I don't know why it might take a second. It might cause a little bit of hiccup in your system for a second there. And then once you've got this in your actual new world, you can use Lightmatica or some other tool like that to create a schematic of it. And you can use that in your vanilla world. Using Lightmatica is beyond the scope of this video, although I will link one of my other videos where I talked about it in the description, including a timestamp of where I started talking about it. And that might help a little bit. There's also other videos on how to use Lightmatica if you're not familiar with those, but it's a very useful tool for pulling a schematic and then using that in your vanilla world. It took us about 4 hours total, 2 hours for two of us to build this. It's going to depend quite a bit on how much detail is in the image. This has a lot of fill areas, and it might seem like that's going to take a while. That is actually the quickest part. The big places that you're just filling in a large area, that's going to be the quickest part. This right here, this is going to be the slowest part right here. All of this detail where you're switching blocks constantly, the more of this you have, the longer it's going to take to make your artwork. So it could be anywhere from 3 to 6 hours is my best guess for one person to make a map art like this. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I hope you found it useful. I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a good day and I hope you enjoy your new map art. Bye now.